Bill Cosby has big plans for his summer after the mistrial. According to Andrew Wyatt and Ebony Benson, two of his spokespeople who were very involved in the trial, he's planning to do, I guess you call them town halls, where he's going to speak to young people about how to avoid ending up in a situation like he did. It seems like a dangerous thing to do, considering he could be, or the prosecutor said he will be going back on trial.
So Andrew and Ebony, what about that? I mean, he is facing retrial, and what he says can be held against him. So isn't this perilous?
I don't think it's careless. I think we have both received a number of calls from churches and civic organizations that are concerned about young people, young men and women, who could have been given a deal by a district attorney like Mr. Cosby was given by Bruce Castor, and 12 years later you could have another district attorney like Kevin Steele to run a Willie Horton-style campaign ad saying that if you could elect me, I would bring this guy back to justice. You know, district attorneys give deals all the time, and they're so afraid that young men and women today can be in the same situation, and they would like for Mr. Cosby just to come talk about what he's dealing with, nothing really about the case, but just talking about how he feels about it and how they can protect themselves.
I think also Mr. Cosby has always been an advocate in communities, so this isn't anything new for him. So it couldn't harm him in any way as long as we're acting within the laws, and we plan on doing that. That's why we work as a team, and we work with our legal team to make sure we're doing everything above the board.
So the legal team is fine with him doing this?
Yes, they are.
And so what if they, what if just somebody asks a question about, what he allegedly did or what he did do, and he just kind of spontaneously answers? That could be dangerous, right?
Well, I think he would be well.
Mr. Cosby has always been honest about what's happened. In all of his depositions, his story has remained the same. He has never once tried to downplay or disregard anything that he did.
And let me jump in on that one as well. Mr. Cosby, he would be well prepared on what he can talk about and what he cannot talk about. That's why we have lawyers like yourself, Harvey, who know what he can say and will tell him what he cannot say and what he cannot answer. And the questions will be, vetted and monitored. But I think it's imperative that he gets out and he, let the world know. And these young people know that, you can be out here one day, you can walk into a crowded facility, a baseball game, burst up against a young woman by mistake, touch her butt and her breast, and then that's sexual assault. They need to know what they're facing, because the laws are changing across this country. Because of alleged accusations that have been waged against Mr. Cosby.
I know what you're saying, Andrew, about those situations, but that's not really what Bill Cosby was accused of in any of these situations. So I'm just wondering I guess if I'm someone in a community, why do I think that Bill Cosby can teach me about that situation? That's not at all what he was accused of.
Well, if you look at a lot of the allegations, all of the women are not saying that he drugged and raped. Some say he fondled them, he touched their breasts. If you look at each alleged allegation from each woman, they're giving a different account of what has happened to them. All of them are not accusing rape or drugging. Some of them are saying that we were at an event and he reached his hand over my shoulder and grabbed my breast or my butt. That's what they're saying.
We're talking about these specific allegations. These specific allegations, if you were court, you would see that there was a relationship going on. So the education that's being given is that statute of limitations are changing, and that you could have had a relationship with a person and years later it can be used against you in a harmful way by a county that has used this to promote their political careers.
Hey, Andrew and Ebony, what is Mr. Cosby's reaction to the report of the juror who says that the vote on 2 of the counts was 10-2 in favor of conviction? Does the split concern you at all for the retrial, that it was predominantly, ultimately, after the deliberations, in favor of conviction?
Not at all, because you also still had jurors that stood their ground no matter what. He also stated that those people weren't changing at all. So that shows that the prosecution was not able to prove with a 12-0 without a reasonable doubt.
And Harvey, let me say this. Mr. Cosby has always said that I don't want people to come in and imply that I am innocent or guilty. I want them to come to the courtroom and hear the truth. And what happened, people heard the truth and saw the inconsistencies in Ms. Constant's statements and what she gave with the Durham Police Department and detectives in Toronto, then what she gave with Montgomery County, and then the District Attorney Bruce Castor. There were so many inconsistencies. The 73 phone calls made, even on Valentine's Day, 53 made by her, I think, and 19 by Mr. Cosby. They saw that, and I think those jurors held their ground, as Ms. Benson said. And if we have to go through this again, I think you're going to get the same results or even better results.
You think it's likely going to ultimately end as another mistrial until the prosecution finally gives up?
Yeah, I think this guy, absolutely. I think this guy, Kevin Steele, he has used his political ambitions to, on Mr. Cosby's good name, to possibly be the next lieutenant governor, or possibly take over Jeff Sessions' seat as Attorney General in the Trump administration. His political ambitions are so strong that he does not want to let it go. But I think right now, what happened with that deadlock twice in the 52 hours of deliberations, which was historical for the Montgomery County, the world has seen this, and it's going to be very hard for them to get another fair and impartial jury for Mr. Cosby. Very hard.
Hey, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks very much, guys. Make sure to subscribe to TMZ Live to keep up to date on the latest entertainment news.
And if you want to keep watching, click on one of these videos right now.